And so now we're getting to the ones that I'm going to for sure want you to have on your cell model. And if we have sort of any verification test kind of thing where you got to say what these things are, cell membrane. It's what holds the cell together. Okay? It's like a fatty bubble. It's actually a phospholipid bilayer. In high school biology, you'll get into it. The membrane is awesome, how it's built and how it works. But I'm not going to go there too much. But it holds the cell together, right? Keeps everything together. And it also controls what goes in and out. And there's one process called osmosis, and there's another called active transport, where proteins pump stuff in. Again, high school biology, you'll get into that. Right now, what I want you to know, cell membrane is it's because it's made of like fat or grease, kind of. That's why it holds it together. I don't want to spend the time describing that more, but it's true. And it controls what gets in and out. It encloses the cell and it controls what gets in and out. So it holds the cell together, right? So here in this picture of an animal cell, the cell membrane goes around it. The stuff inside is called cytoplasm, and then there's the nucleus. And this is red because it's been dyed so you can see the nucleus nicely. Okay, cell membrane. Everybody say cell membrane. Okay, sometimes it's also called plasma membrane because it holds the plasm in. Okay, so next, cytoplasm. Okay, it's just the stuff inside the cell. This is one that sometimes is misleading. A lot of times people think the cytoplasm is like the liquid that everything's floating in. Technically, that's actually called cytosol. Cytoplasm, technically, is everything inside of the cell except for the nucleus. Because when they first developed microscopes and saw this, they go, okay, here's the nucleus, and the rest of it's the cytoplasm. And, oh, look, there's these other things in there, too. And honestly, I don't mind if you think of it as the liquid that the stuff floats in, but technically, not really, but that's all right. The cytoplasm is all this gooey stuff. And the reason it kind of like is sort of gooey stuff is it has a network of cytoskeleton in there. Other proteins. Okay, so let's get on with that. Cytoplasm. Everybody say cytoplasm. What a word. Cyto means inside the cell. Plasm is like sort of, plasmic, like blob-like. Okay, cytoplasm. So now we have the cell membrane, cytoplasm. Everybody say cell membrane. Say cytoplasm. Again, in the classroom, I'll probably do this in the Zoom when we meet next time. In fact, I guarantee it. I'm actually considering doing a song, and I haven't completed the song yet, but there's probably going to be one. Okay, mitochondria. This is an awesome organelle. I love mitochondria. The mighty mitochondria. This is what's called the powerhouse of the cell. So please write that down. Hopefully, in 6th or 7th grade, you learned about something called cellular respiration. It's when the sugars that are floating through your bloodstream there's stored energy in there, and that energy is released for you to use. That energy is released in the mitochondria. It's the organelle inside of it. It releases the energy from glucose. And so, like the chloroplast does the photosynthesis, mitochondria does the cellular respiration. So your cells have energy. You know how there's energy stored in food? When you eat the food, and then it gets broken down in your digestive system, and it basically gets converted mostly into glucose. If you know anybody who's diabetic, they got to monitor their glucose levels, blood sugar. And that's the food that all your cells thrive on and run on. It's the energy. If you run across the room, it's glucose that's powering that. If you're having thoughts, if you're conscious, all the neurons firing in your brain, that's powered by glucose. And that can only happen with the mitochondria releasing that energy in a process called cellular respiration. These are probably my very favorite organelle. And I'll probably tell you a little more about it later, maybe. But let me just tell you something that's way cool about it, is they have their own DNA. And so these, we're talking billions of years ago, when you first started getting eukaryotes from prokaryotes, the mitochondria would have been an invading bacteria. It was like an infection in this other cell, but it ended up working so well. it got established as this is the way it happens, right? And so it's something pretty cool. It's called endosymbiosis. Again, I know I'm throwing a lot of words at you. I know that, and I apologize. The ones that are underlined are the key ones, like this one, mitochondria. Everybody say mitochondria. Say mitochondria. Do it. Do it. It'll help you learn it if you say it out loud. All right. Thank you. And write it down. And hear it multiple times, which you will. So far, we have cell membrane, cytoplasm, mitochondria. Now, the next one is the one that we're going to concentrate the most on when we get to it, right? After we get overview, it's going to be the nucleus. Okay? Nucleus. Now, the nucleus is the sort of center, little dot in there. It's the control center of the cell. And how it controls the cell is because it has the DNA, which determines which proteins are made. I'm telling you right now, this whole unit we're going to be going into for genetics and stuff and the cellular function, this is your first exposure to that key idea. And that's going to be a major learning objective of this, is that you know what the nucleus does is because it has the DNA, and I'm going to want you to know what the DNA does to make the cell function, and then we'll get into how the DNA it determines our traits, or at least a little bit of it, because a lot of it is honestly not really known exactly how it is that it works, the genetics works. But they're learning a lot about it, but there's still lots of unknown questions. This is pretty darn cool. Okay, so I know you've heard of DNA. We'll learn more about that later. So the nucleus, everybody say nucleus. By the way, it's not nucleus. Don't say nucleus, right? Nucleus, say it. Okay, that's the control center. So we got the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. The nucleus is the control center. We have the membrane that kind of holds it together and controls what goes in and out. And the cytoplasm is just the stuff in it, the gunk in it, all right?